Right, let's keep rolling. So we're going to move to the deep dive topic for today. So just to create a link here, we've spoken about AI and what it could do for your business. But like there's a bit of a challenge here because you might spot an opportunity, but you might also recognize that it takes substantial investment to bring that to life. So how do you budget for that? That's what today's deep dive topic is going to be about. And today's guest speaker is Catalina Cotoara. And I first worked with Kat, it must be 15 years ago, I reckon, something along those lines. So she was financial controller of a branding and design agency. And I co-founded a digital agency with those owners, meaning that Kat was overseeing the accounting function for two businesses. But since then, she's gone on to hold multiple finance director positions before starting her own firm, Finance Director London, where she provides strategic planning and accounting for SMEs in the tech and media space. So I'm delighted to introduce Kat and her talk, Budget Smarter, Innovate Faster, and Maximise Business Value. So welcome, Kat. The stage is yours.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Graham.
Welcome.
And good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to take you through a presentation about how to budget smarter, how to innovate faster, and to maximize your business value. To start, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Graham has already introduced me better than I could possibly do it. But I'm Catalina Cotoara, and I'm the managing partner of Finance Director London, a firm that specializes in financial partnering for small businesses in tech and media sectors. And I started my career in an accountancy practice. Then I moved in industry and worked predominantly with SMEs. In 2017, I started my own business with a mission to help small businesses access the same level of financial expertise that big corporations have. So why I do what I do? First of all, I love numbers. I believe numbers can tell the truth better than words. So please bear with me whilst I'll try to squeeze numbers into today's presentation. Very importantly, I believe that founders and CEOs deserve to have access to better financial information, as this will help them reach their goals faster and increase their business valuation. To give you a short overview about what we'll cover today, we'll talk about why budgeting is key to innovation. Then we will move on to talk about the Budget Smarter framework. Then we'll touch on the connection between financial planning and value creation. And last but not least, I'll give you some practical strategies on how you can improve not only the budgeting process for your business, but also the strategic forecast, the growth rate, and ultimately the valuation of your business. Budgeting is a key to innovation. If everyone does whatever they want and everyone goes off in their own directions, your stuff might be creative, but there are so many types of creativity, and the result you're going to get might not be the type of creativity that your business requires for its innovation goals. So by putting a budget together, this budget provides a framework for creativity to happen. My suggestion is that you gather together everyone in your team, involve them in the process of budgeting, because knowledge will be stored in everyone's brain. And there will be certain aspects that your employees might know better than you. Then agree the budget, and once the budget is approved, it is extremely important to communicate the aims and the expectations and the goals to everyone in your team. Another reason why budgeting is key to innovation is the communication stage. You want to align the teams with the goals of the business. So first of all, it's very important to be clear about what the main goal is. Where do we want to get to and by when? Then we split this goal into smaller steps and also ensure that everyone in the business knows where we are and where we want to get to. We also want to ensure that everyone works together towards these common goals. Another very important point in producing a smart budget is the resource allocation. Looking at the resources from a strategic point of view is very, very important, because this is what's going to add value to the business in the long term. For example, one of my clients, SaaS, a software as a service, were considering expanding their offering to reach a new market. And they were aware that they needed some specific knowledge of that particular market. They already had the specialist developers on the payroll, and their expertise was sufficient to adapt the current project to that specific market. So the developers were fantastic at what they were doing. There was no need to change the team in that direction. But the strategic decision taken here was to allocate the resources towards hiring a product manager that knows that specific industry inside out, to help with the niching of the offering and to get the product exactly right. So during the budgeting phase, it's worth thinking about all of this strategic decision and deciding whether or not it's worth investing an additional £80,000, £100,000 to bring that person on board to work closely with your tech team. Or you might decide that you and your team know this market niche well enough, and instead the resources would be better allocated to an additional developer that maybe specializes on some additional programming language, and then integrate that new person into the team. Or maybe your company needs a data analyst to streamline the information process by your product and make it more relevant to the end user. But my point is, budgeting is the step where all of these options are being weighted and choices can be made following thorough considerations, rather than making decisions down the line on a fly when things just happen. So it's good management practice to take the time to sit down, think about various strategic options, consider all the possibilities, and then allocate the relevant resources where it will make the highest impact. To move on, let's chat a bit about barriers to innovations. If you're not budgeting, or if you are budgeting but haphazardly, what could be the potential barriers to innovation? I try to summarize these into three main areas, and this is limited resources, unclear direction, and unaddressed risks. Most companies have limited resources. If you're in a position where your resources are unlimited, then you are very, very fortunate. But the main challenge that the majority of businesses have is how to allocate these limited resources in the best way possible. Without budgeting and without considering all these possible options, the limited resources could be wasted on random things that a company might not need at all. To give you an example, what I noticed with one of my clients in the past is that the founders would get very excited about the project and idea, and they would start working towards it straight away without analysis, without analyzing all the implications first, and without considering the pluses and minuses of that specific project. So they would get very excited, put some time and resources into that specific idea, start the work, and then at some point realizing that it might not have been the best idea and it's not exactly what the business needs. And then the project slows down and gets abandoned. That investment is being forgotten, the time and money spent into it are being lost, and then when we are back to the drawing board, and then we go back to the drawing board and we start all over again. Now, doing things quickly and failing quickly could be a strategic way of testing various ideas. And that is an absolutely valuable strategy if it aligns with your long-term goals. But this specific business was just very enthusiastic, starting a project without proper consideration and then dropping it and moving on to the next one. So businesses run like this suffer due to this drag on their misused resources. After we put a clear budget in place and dedicated a budget section for trial and error, everyone streamlined their efforts working within the same framework. And as a result, the business improved its product offering and grew much faster. Another big item that could hold the business back from innovating faster is an unclear direction. If you're not clear where your business should go, then you don't know what to work towards. So you as the founder or as the CEO must first have a clear idea in mind of where the business should be in 1 year time, 3 years time, and 5 years time. Then, based on these goals, we make the plan and allocate the budget. The business plan must be communicated clearly to everyone else in the business. And then these plans can be distilled during budgeting. Without budgeting, how are you going to know if your idea makes complete sense and if the bottom line adds up, or if you should be taking the business into one direction or another? And this leads us to the last item on this page, the unaddressed risks. Usually, when a budget is prepared and various possibilities are considered, this is the point where risks are addressed and mitigated for. But without doing a proper budgeting process and without considering all the various options or the various directions the company could go on, how are you going to guess what the risks could be? All of these risks are lurking there in the shadows unaddressed, and they pose grave problem to your business if you don't know what they are. So a good way of addressing these risks is to allocate specific time for budgeting. Then go line by line through each item of revenue and each item of cost, and consider what might happen if the business is losing a specific revenue stream or if costs suddenly increase. Discuss these scenarios with the relevant members of your team, and then put contingencies in place wherever possible. Contingency planning is extremely important as the business grows. And when a business is struggling with any or all of these items, innovation suffers. Now, the next page in my presentation is the Budgeting Smarter framework. And in order to help you understand what I mean by smart budgeting, I've created this framework called FOCUS. It's a nice way of remembering things. And really focusing is so important in business and in life. So it's the framework is meant to ensure that your company has a clear and a fully considered budget, and that appropriate attention and resources has been allocated to the relevant innovation projects. Because ultimately, the aim is to ensure that your company's value is increasing exponentially and that it aligns with the valuation you have in mind for a possible exit further down the line. Let me talk you through the acronym now. F is for focusing on high impact areas. Certain innovation projects or investments have the potential to make a bigger impact on your business than others. And as you prepare the budget and you're considering various investment opportunities and the best path to growth, it will be very useful to use scenario planning. And as a tool to make life easier for everyone that works on scenario planning, and especially the founders or the CEOs, And to speed things up, I recommend Fathom. Fathom is a reporting and forecasting analysis tool that integrates easily with Xero, QuickBooks, or other cloud-based accounting software. And as an example, I have this client that specializes in IoT, Internet of Things, and they did some R&D, and then they created this new product that was measuring vibrations to buildings, for example, and they were considering whether to enter into the construction market or into the insurance market. As part of the strategic planning process, we prepared a couple of scenarios to consider what would be required for any of the two innovation projects they were considering. We looked at what was the total market size, what share of the market they could realistically be able to acquire, and what would be the gross margin and the net margin for their specific proposition. We also looked at where their strengths lie. The scenario for construction would have increased their business by 50%. That's a great proposition. However, the scenario for the insurance industry showed the potential to triple the size of their business within the next 2 to 3 years. The risk associated with this course of action was also smaller, so it was a no-brainer to go for this investment option. Their innovative product was launched about half a year ago, and they are already 60% into the, they have already increased their turnover by about 60%, and they are well on the way to reach the goals from the scenario planning in another 2 to 3 years. The next letter in my acronym is O for optimize operational costs. I'm not advocating to purely cut costs, but instead to optimize them. So what does that mean? If you have a certain process that is quite repetitive and requires manual input and time from your team, maybe there is scope for automating part of that process. Talk to Graham about this. So using one of the products that is already out there on the market, this could provide a quick gain with only a modest investment and quite a high return on investment. Take, for example, the accounting function. I'm going to talk about this because in any business I work with, that's the area that I control fully and I could implement things. For the other parts of the business, I always need the buy-in of the sales director or commercial director or the IT director. So in the accounting area, for example, Xero and some of the other automated bill processing, such as Dext or HubDoc, can process quite a lot of daily tasks manually. If you get your suppliers and your team members to email bills directly to a specific email address, once these systems are all set up correctly and integrated with each other, the invoices are processed automatically with minimal input from your team or from a team member, which saves a lot of hours. Or another very useful example here is the founders or the CEO has to log in into the bank on a daily basis to provide details to the accounting team so that the accounting team can process the data. By connecting, you're smiling, Andreas. Are you doing that?
Yeah, we're doing quite a bit of automation. We're constructing webhooks using no-code tools and stuff like that.
All right. So I'm not in the automation. I'm in numbers. So I know financials and taxes, but these automations really just makes life for the financial function so much easier. So if the founders.
Sorry, I'm a qualified accountant as well, by the way. It was my first job out of uni.
Oh, cool.
Not as you, of course, but.
So you know all about this then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to know it to your level, but I know enough to be dangerous anyway.
All right, I'll be careful then. So if you as a founder have to log in onto the bank on a daily basis, that's 5-10 minutes wasted every single day just to download the data. By connecting bank feeds directly to the accounting systems, it improves efficiency, and it saves precious time, not only for the executive team, but also for the accounting function, because people in accounting don't have to waste their time chasing missing data. The data just automatically is being downloaded into the accounting software. So on the IT side or on other parts of the business, Graham has already given us so many good examples. And also the earlier example that Jalpa gave us, that's perfect for social media. Now, just one extra note of how else can you optimize operational costs. Maybe you have two different parts of the business producing or manipulating the same type of data. So here it would be useful to do a general data and tech audit to document the standard operating procedures and then check who does what. And if any of these procedures can be merged or streamlined, then go for it, because two people working on the same for the same outcome, it's a waste of resources. The next letter in my acronym is C, cut non-essential expenses. What is considered essential could be so different for every business. For example, HMRC frowns upon entertainment expenses and doesn't allow them as a deductible expense for corporation tax. However, there are certain sectors such as advertising industry, for example, where entertainment is considered a norm, and entertainment is essential to get customers on board. But let me give you another example where the expenses are absolutely non-essential. I've recently onboarded a new client, and my team are currently going through the accounts to tidy up everything and automate their processes wherever possible. One thing that we discovered is that the business hadn't provided their VAT numbers to suppliers outside UK. So they've been charged VAT on invoices where they shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have paid VAT at all. And that's an approximate 20% increase in cost that they were paying unnecessarily. So a little financial discipline goes a long way. The next letter on my acronym is U for use data-driven decisions. Why is this important? So sometimes CEOs and founders have a certain gut instinct, and some of the quick decision-making that they have to do on a daily basis is done using this. And this gut instinct is a fantastic mechanism to get us out of tight spots, but it's not always right. For important decisions that affect the business in the long term, I'm a strong advocate for using data-driven decision. Without data-driven decision, the intuitive response can sometimes take us down the wrong path. So if you love taking decisions based on gut instinct, I would say use this data to inform your gut decision-making. And sometimes data could say something completely different than what your gut instinct tells you. And at that point, it's up to you to decide which direction you should go. But I would highly advocate go for data. And the last letter on my acronym is S for strategic flexibility. This is here to remind us that although the budget has been approved and agreed, it's important to stay flexible and react appropriately to any big changes that happen in the market and the world, like maybe a new competitor entering the market or huge tariffs being imposed on your industry. It's important to think strategically about what drives value in your business. I would advise to add specific lines in the budget that deal with unforeseen circumstances and that allow your innovators to experiment and fail in a safe and controlled manner. This would nurture the strategic innovation, making your business more resilient and more capable to deal with future shifts in the market. What is the connection between financial planning and value creation? I have here an example of a SaaS company with whom I started to work a couple of years ago. They brought me on board to help them with the future fundraising. And following onboarding, we worked on tidying up their accounting, introduce monthly management reporting, increase the financial discipline in the business, and we brought everyone on board with what has to be done and when. And since then, they successfully raised $500,000, and then they used those money to improve their product and do a big marketing push to reach more clients. This has allowed them to grow at a fast pace, and they went from a turnover of about 600,000 per year to 1.4 million per year in the course of a little bit more than a year. And this wouldn't have been possible without proper financial planning. In general, well-managed finances attract better investors and better partnerships. Investors are going to do their due diligence before putting money into your business. So if the investors see that your finances are managed well, they are more likely to entrust you with their money. And they have more confidence that their money will be used well, and eventually that they will get their money back. Also, financial proficiency allows for sustainable innovation, because innovation is hard work and it's resource intensive. The business could quickly run out of money and the project will be left in the air unless you plan properly and you check for any possible sidestep or any issue that you might encounter, or unless you can convince your investors to put some additional money into your business. And then we're going back to well-managed finances and showing them that you've been doing a good job. And another connection between value creation and financial planning is business valuation. If your accounts are tidy and the management reports are done diligently and made available to potential investors during the due diligence, this proves to the investor that you've thought thoroughly about the future and you've got accurate forecast. And it makes it more likely for the business valuation to be higher by comparison to a similar business who might have the same sales and the same profits, but their accounts are in a mess. So yeah, financial planning is very important for the valuation of your business, as it gives investors confidence to invest. And we're going to move forward to some practical strategies to give you an idea on how you can ensure that your business grows sustainable. First of all, budget for innovation. The budget should include strategic items that help the innovation and also, very importantly, communicate your goals to everyone in your team to ensure that everyone works towards the same goal. Also, prioritize the high impact initiative. If you have 2 different projects, then definitely pick the one that is likely to have the highest impact and a manageable level of risk. But you're not going to know which project is going to have the highest impact unless you sit down and you do the analysis and the financial planning for it. Remember the scenario I gave you earlier with construction industry versus the insurance industry. Once you've done the financial planning and choose the initiative with the highest impact on the long-term goals of the business, make sure that you measure the progress. The return on investment should be measured regularly so that you can double check that the business is on the right path. If not, take urgent correcting action. Redo the budget, chat to the team, check what can be done, and make a new plan of attack. Lastly, plan for contingencies and market shifts. Because in today's modern world, things are happening so quickly all the time, and there's so much uncertainty in the world at the moment. You know, the war in Ukraine, inflation, tariffs, geopolitical shifts. I would highly advise it to have a contingency plan incorporated into your budget to allow for any of these market shifts. And just to wrap up the presentation, as we are running out of time, what are the key things from today's presentation? Well, first of all, clarity drives success. Be clear about where you want to get to and how you're going to get there, because without that, you're only going to get there if you're really, really lucky and you stumble upon it by mistake. So make your own luck. Point number 2, when you do your budget, think about the future and think strategically about what you have to do now in order to be successful down the line. And keep the focus framework at the forefront as you work through your budgets. This should help you produce better budgets that truly align with your company's strategy. And lastly, I'm leaving you with a task. Challenge yourself to apply my focus framework, which I created specifically for you, to produce your next budget. If applied correctly, this will help you create a clear path of action to innovate faster and safer. And your company valuation will increase exponentially. That's it from me today. Hopefully no one has fallen asleep. Any questions?